Hi, I'm Kim Jacobs, the Balance Doctor. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of The Kim Jacobs Show. Be sure to subscribe to The Kim Jacobs Show right on YouTube. Turn on your notification bell to all so you never miss a beat. And guess what? Every time you watch, you're going to receive a real relevant and relatable guest that's going to share with you a piece of the puzzle on this journey called life that will help you be able to manage just a little bit smoother. At the end of the day, the Kim Jacobs Show goal is to be able to provide balance to the world, one household at a time.
Kim Jacobs Show. You're watching Kim Jacobs Show.
Good morning, good morning. This is the Kim Jacobs Show, but breaking news, I am not Kim Jacobs. I am Sean A. Hall. The A today stands for available. Kimberly, our illustrious host, is out doing balance work with her family, but she will drop in shortly. So I want you to sit back, relax, know you're in capable hands, and right after this message from the Snow Legal Group, we're going to kick off the show.
I'm attorney Kenneth D. Snow, and at the Snow Legal Group, justice is our job.
For more than 20 years, Attorney Snow has been fighting for justice and winning cases in the Carolinas by providing aggressive representation in criminal defense, domestic violence, family law, serious injury, and wrongful death. If you've been injured or lost a loved one in an accident, including tractor trailer or rideshare, you need the Snow Legal Group by your side, fighting for justice and fighting for you. Visit snowlegal.com. Call 704-358-0026 for a free virtual consultation. Located at 6827 Fairview Road, Suite D in South Park.
Okay, and we are back. Now, a little technical difficulty, but there we go. Made it work. Listen, again, I'm Sean Hall, and today I'm your host. Now, I want to go ahead and kick off something that Kim always says, that the views expressed by the guests of the Kim Jacobs Show are not necessarily those of the show, okay? So having said that, we've got a great lineup for you today. We've got Mr. Phil Walters, Carrie Ann Hilliard, and Kiwan Amy. Did I get that right? All right. Okay. Now, before we get this show really blasting off, I want to bring some current events to you today because we're living in this world. We're not in a bubble, and we got to talk a little bit about what is going on. And what's on the hearts and minds of so many is what's going on in Afghanistan. And what we know, just in case some of you don't, what we know is that the United States has decided to fully withdraw from Afghanistan with a leave date of August 31st. Now, y'all, that is right around the corner. We still have thousands of U.S. citizens who are there. We have Afghanis who have assisted us there. We have made a promise that we will get them all out. But yesterday, we had some heartbreaking news where 13 servicemen were killed. There was a suicide mission carried out by ISIS-K. They killed hundreds of Afghan citizens along with some of our U.S. servicemen. And so we want to make sure that we keep this situation in prayer because it's tense. Now, I want to give a little backdrop to this whole thing because I wouldn't be me if I didn't do that. Being a political science major, graduating from the illustrious Bennett College, let me say this, that regardless of what your political affiliation is, this war did not start with President Biden. It didn't start with President Trump, President Obama. If you know your history, and if you don't, this is a moment to go and Google it because Google is your friend. He's my homeboy. But this started back in the 1950s when we had the Cold War still going on with the former Soviet Union. This was a big issue because we wanted to make sure that they did not get a foothold in Afghanistan. And so dating back to the 1950s, there have been issues in Afghanistan. Now, for much of the 90s, no, let me go back. During that time, during the 70s and 80s, we funded what the Afghan guerrillas were doing. And when I say guerrillas, we're talking about people who are not a part of the military, but who are on the fringes. And that's where we get the term guerrilla warfare, if you will. We funded them. We gave them money. We, the United States, are partly responsible for funding what we now know as the Taliban. which was headed up by Osama bin Laden. A lot of people don't know this, and it's important to know your history so that you don't repeat it. Now, we stayed out of Afghanistan largely throughout the 90s, but we came back after 9/11 because we felt like there were people hiding out there and we wanted to get a stronghold. So for the 20 years that we were there, women were able to go to school, have jobs, be in parliament or in their cabinet, if you will, and live pretty productive lives. We're seeing that erased now through some of the things that happened with the last administration, that this administration has said, you know what, we've got to go. And so with that being said, we're seeing a lot of turmoil with people who can't get out of the country, who want to get out. And what the Taliban has said is, if you're an Afghani, you ain't leaving. You're going to be here. So we've got to see really what President Biden does. What he has declared is that if you were responsible for the death of our 13 servicemen, quote, we will hunt you down. So we're going to have to see what happens with that. On the other side of it, the eviction moratorium is going to be ending soon. So for people across the country who have been impacted by the pandemic, which is pretty much all of us, right? For those who were renting and were not able to pay their rent, CDC issued a moratorium on evictions, which basically meant you couldn't be put out your house. Come the end of September, it's going bye-bye. And with that, we may see some serious changes in the housing market. And I want, if you are involved in any kind of nonprofit, you're doing any kind of service work, now is the time to get your fundraisers going because people are going to need help. So that's what we've got with some of our updates with events. I want to give our guests an opportunity to get on in here. So let's kick off today with Carrie Ann Hilliard. Carrie Ann, introduce yourself for the people.
Hi, everyone. I'm Carrie Ann Hilliard, author of Overcoming Single Parent Obstacles. This book is my personal story about my life, the different challenges I had with my daughter, raising her from the time right before she was born up and through to high school. And then I also have an organization called Help Adolescents Speak Out, which you'll see on my name. It says Carrie Ann Hilliard at HAZOS. That's what HAZOS stands for, Help Adolescents Speak Out. And what I do is create a safe space, bringing youth together, letting them talk about whatever kind of challenges they're having. And I teach them how to overcome those challenges. So in a nutshell, that's a little bit about me and what I do. Thank you.
Now, Carrie Ann, let's go back. You said so much that we've got to unpack. So you're a single mother, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so when you decided to write this book, and I know it was birthed out of your own experiences, but really, what was the one thing that made you say, I got to share my story with the world because this is worth telling people?
Wow, that's a very good question. Thanks for asking. So I wrote the book in a notebook originally back in 2016. And I was like, okay, I'm good. I'm satisfied. I'm not going to release it. I wrote it. I'm grateful that I wrote it. I got it all out my system. I can move forward with my life. But what I was starting to see was some of the challenges that I've already overcome. I start to see other parents go through some of those same struggles that I wrote about in this book. And I was like, okay, I need to do something to give back to my community to help other parents out. And that was the turning point. I think, honestly, it was like during the pandemic, like last March or April. I said, I'm finally going to get serious about releasing who I am as a person, because I didn't want to share all the different things that I wrote about it. I mean, you write a book, but you don't think that you're ever going to release it or just put it out there. So that was my turning point, just seeing different people that I know going through some of the same challenges. And I would share with them some of the different stories that I overcome and how I did it. And I was like, you know, this could be very helpful for someone else if I just share it. Sometimes we have so much greatness inside of us, but we refuse to share who we are and what we're doing with others. So during the pandemic was like the turning point of, okay, now is the time for you to put this out here and to give it to the world, and whoever needs it, they'll pick it up. And if they don't want it, I can get on the Kim Jacobs show and talk about it. And then maybe you'll want it then. So that was the turning point. It was last year
I loved
when I
what you
got
said
serious
about
about it and said, okay, let me share more about this book and more details, because where we are and parents, school, not going to school sometimes, the different challenges that we're having was not like my journey, but I can relate and understand because there were different challenges that I had and my daughter had. So sometimes I wasn't able to go to work or school, all because of the things that was going on within my house. So that's how it's relatable to today's time. And that was my turning point during the pandemic.
I love what you said about allowing the pandemic to kind of push you to pivot. And I think that that's happened with so many people across the country where we had all this time on our hands. And then we look around and we say, well, wait a minute. I've got this book I've been working on.
Yeah.
Now there's no excuse of I don't have time, because that's all we all had, right? Was plenty of time. So I love that you took the time to really push this out and use it to bless and speak to people. With the obstacles that you faced as a single parent, can you share one or two with our listeners and really how you were able to overcome them?
Okay, so I'll share the last challenge that my daughter had in high school. And full disclosure, now I'm not against higher education. But what happened was my daughter was in an AP class, and her last year of high school, she decided that she didn't want to follow that track anymore. So what we had to do was get her out of this class and get her into the engineering program so she can really line up her life the way she wanted to for college. So I had her do everything, follow all the steps of doing it, just so she can see from a student perspective how real life situations work. And then she was able to get nowhere. She went all the way to the top superintendent, asking for help, and she couldn't get any help. So what I did was, as a parent, we went back through the process together, and I showed her how you have to go through the chain of command to get results that you really want. So we walked through it together. We went through the chain of command, and then we were able to get with the guidance counselor who was able to share more information about how we can make those waves through. And that's how we were able to overcome those challenges, by reaching out for help and asking another person who was more familiar with different processes. And she was able to finish up school, high school, in the engineering program and go to the college of her choice, which it was one of the best schools in North Carolina, one of the UNC schools. I'm not going to tell you which one, but
Central, North Carolina State. Okay, go ahead.
no, I'm not going to tell you which one, but she was able to get into the architecture program there, all because we pivoted from the AP program and went into the engineering program. So that's all I have to say for parents. Anytime you see things that are happening that's outside of your control, just reach out for help. You never know who that ram in a bush may be.
Carrie Ann, what you're
Yes.
sharing is about advocacy, helping students to advocate for themselves and understanding that if they hit that brick wall, moms, dads, aunties, uncles, that's what you're there for, to help them move that mountain, not to just say, oh, well, woe is us, we can't do it. So kudos to you, Carrie Ann, for really going back through the process and understanding something that most people get wrong. They want to shoot straight to the top. And what you're doing is usurping people's authority. And everybody gets a little tight when you usurp their authority, right? Because if you got a job, you want to do your job. So I love what you've been able to share. Listen, I want you all to, Carrie Ann, hold up your book. Where can people purchase this book?
Oh my goodness. They can go to my actual website, which is my name, first and last name, www.carrieannhilliard.com. And they can purchase it on there right now. And I can send it out immediately. If you buy it today, I can send it out today. It's also on Amazon as well as Barnes and Noble. You can go there and order it. You can go to my website and order it. Whatever. If you order it from me, it's a signed copy. And who knows, you may even get a little bit of a discount. We'll see.
Yay! Listen, make sure you go and purchase this book, even if you're not a single parent. Even if you're not a parent, I bet you there is somebody in your life, in your church, at your job who could be blessed by what she has been able to not only go through, but conquer and now write about and share with the world. Carrie Ann, thank you for being with us today. I hope you'll stay on the show for the duration. And we're going to take a quick break and go to Silver Security and hear what that sponsor has to share with us today.
Thank you.
It's not just another day, it's a brand new day, full of all the fun, love, and laughter you and your family create. Silver Shield Security understands feeling at home means feeling safe and happy. No credit checks, no contracts. We offer payment arrangements, and we'll even give you a free door camera. Find out how we can brighten your day even more at silvershield-security.com. Silver Shield Security.
Wow, that was wonderful from our friends at Silver Shield Security. I want to now introduce our next guest. Kawan, Amy, tell the people about yourself and why you are here with us today on the Kim Jacobs Show.
Yes, good morning. Good morning. Thank you guys for having me for Freestyle Friday. Freaking Freestyle Friday. But anyway, yes, my name is Kawan Amy, out of Durham, North Carolina. I am an author. I'm a motivational speaker. I am a musician, but I also want to touch on how I am a retired Air Force veteran because of how you opened the show. And, you know, things that are going on right now. It's really touching right now to witness what is happening over there in Kabul as well as Afghanistan. So I do want to send out my deepest condolences to all those families, to my brothers in arms, and y'all stay prayed up. Or if you believe in other things such as energy, keep that energy. So I just had to say something about that. But yes, I am, like I said, a self-published author. My book is titled Don't Focus on Why Me, From Motorcycle Accident to Miracle. And I recently wrote that book because of my accident that I had back in 2017. It was May 5th. And so I suffered a motorcycle accident that caused me to lose my eyesight. And, you know, I've spoke on this show about the accident as well as the book. But now that it's officially out, you know, I'm gaining some traction in my motivational speaking, as well as just the sure feedback that I'm getting from people who have read the book, and positive as well as, you know, heartfelt, all kinds of things. They love the vulnerability that I've added to the book and poured into the book. So the lifestyle that you lead or live and show and represent is also being watched by anybody that you can touch, inspire in any way. So I also want to leave that with people.
So, Kawan, wow. First, thank you for your service. I'm so grateful for that. To all of our men and women who are in the armed services or who were ever in the armed services, thank you for risking it all for us. Kawan, take us back. Hearing that the motorcycle accident in 2017 is what caused your blindness, let me ask you maybe an obvious question, which is life before 2017 versus now. What are some of the things that you perhaps took for granted that now you see it differently, if you will?
Yes. So life before May 5th, 2017 was full of excitement, full of fun, full of freedom, full of adventure, full of me just really doing what I wanted to do. I had the freedom, whether it was financially, whether it was personal, whether it was get up and go, because I could drive. I could jump on a plane without asking somebody, "Hey, can you take me to the airport?" or having to pay a $30 Uber fee. you know, um, so it was one of those things where I was able to enjoy myself outside of having to ask a bunch of people, can I get your assistance in doing this? Um, Also, again, with the military, I was able to learn, a lot. And I don't just mean by gaining book knowledge, I also mean experience, life experience, traveling the world, seeing Afghanistan, seeing that stuff over there and what it really is, not just what you see on the news. So there is a lot that goes into that. But after the accident was, man, it started off dark, and I don't just mean because I lost my eyesight. It started off dark. It was a depressed area, leading into a downward spiral. And that's not a good thing because lowered in depression is really just suicide. So you tend to have these thoughts. And thankfully, I have a faith background that I've had since I was, a child. I still remember the pictures of me standing up in a church pew, so I thank God for that. I also thank my family for being there for me during that time because it was rough. It still is, especially with this pandemic. Uh, so it's just like you want to do so much, but you become limited to different things, due to different things, shall I say. Especially like I mentioned before, I had the freedoms of finances, I had all that stuff. And then you have an accident that just takes that away from the way you were doing it. Now you have to, as you guys mentioned earlier, you and Carrie Ann, you have to pivot. And my pivot moment was when I wrote that book. So many people have challenged me to write it, but I had to do it. So now I have a self-published book. But before I had the self-published book, I had to write the self-published book. Before I was able to write the self-published book, I had to learn how to use a computer. But a lot of people don't put all those things into place unless you tell them about it. So it's really one of those things you just have to sit back, observe, listen to what somebody has to say, and go from there. Just move forward.
Wow. So here's what's intriguing to me because I'm also a self-published author. You didn't have a ghostwriter in this. You had to teach yourself how to use the computer, although you were visually impaired or are visually impaired. Now, what did that mean to you? And what did that do for you? Because I think if it were me, I probably would have taken what I think is the easy way out. Get somebody, let me dictate this to you and you do it. But you didn't take that path. So I want to hear more about that and why not?
Yes. I had a lot of, it is not necessarily about the pride thing because I don't really do that type of stuff. I'm more of to say I did it. I was able to accomplish this. And it's not about the pride factor. It's about to say, I did it and I can help you to do it, or I can tell you you can do it too. And that's what I did it for. Also, because so many people believed in me, I had to believe in myself. If these people can believe in me, why am I not believing in myself? And then you had Mr. Phil Walters, who is also here today. His wife was, pepping me. She was like, yeah, you could do it. Just start writing. Just simple as that. Just start writing. And you can put it together in order, whatever, how you want to later on. You don't have to necessarily have it all down right now. And so I did that. Once I learned how to use a computer, I just started writing. It came naturally because it was about my life. But at the same sense, I still had to do it. So, yeah, it was just something that, I don't necessarily pride myself on, but I want to tell people that if I can do it, so can you.
Now let's just sit in there for all of you who are watching. And if you're watching, that means you're using your eyeballs, y'all. This man is not able to do that. And if he can get started, what you waiting on? What is your excuse? Because what I hear Kawan saying is you don't have an excuse. You don't have any reason to not get started living your purpose and influencing other people to live out their dreams, which is exactly what he is doing. Come on, I'm excited. Where can we purchase your book today?
Yes. Thank you again. And my book, Don't Focus on Why Me, From Motorcycle Accident to Miracle, can be found on Amazon, as well as those who use Kindle. Audible, I did put it in an audio version for all of my visually impaired people and those who love to drive and ride and listen, as well as Apple. It's a audio version on Apple as well. So yes, Don't Focus on Why Me, From Motorcycle Accident to Miracle by Kiwan Amy.
I think that's incredible. And I think something that he said, I don't want you all to miss out on. Making your products available in as many platforms as possible for as many people is imperative, because people are going to miss out on your message if you don't make it available. Everybody is not able to see, if you will. Everybody has different challenges. So if you will recognize that, like Mr. Amy, and say, no matter what, I'm going to make my message available to everyone, you're going to be on the road to where you're supposed to be. Now, Kawan, I can't let you leave without asking you, can you take us back, if it's not too personal, not too painful, can you take us to May 5th and what happened? Because in my mind, I hear somebody out there saying, well, what happened on that day? And that somebody is probably me. I'm the person. Come on.
I want to know too, because that's my birthday.
Oh,
I want to know. Yes, I need to know.
We got a birthday in the building. No, anyway, yes, going back to May 5th, 2017, what some might call Cinco de Mayo, and they celebrate, have fun, all that good stuff. It was a Friday. I also had to go to the Air Force base that day because I had to work. So I was getting ready to get in my travel status and head out that way. But I remembered that I had to take some pictures. Because I remember I told you guys, well, I have told everybody on Kim Jacobs Show, I had a business called Kiwi Enterprise, where I did website design and management, social media marketing, and photography. So the photography part is what I was doing that day before I had to head to the base. And it was around about 2 p.m. I was leaving Jordan Lake, for those who are familiar in North Carolina, and I was headed back towards Durham on Highway 751. And there was a guy who pulled out from an intersection in a Honda Accord. And I tell everybody this story. I had 3 options. I could go right and go into the trees. I could go left and go into oncoming traffic. Jesus. Or I can do what I did, and that was hit him. So there were no options of, I can avoid this, because a lot of people tend to think that motorcycles stop on a dime. Yeah, it'll stop on a dime if you lock that front brake up and flip over. But other than that, it's not stopping. It's going to slide. It's going to fall to the side. And the other part that I just told you, it'll flip. There's no good part or way to stop a bike other than to normally, regularly, gradually stop a bike. But if you're trying to quickly stop it, it's really not too much you can do. That's why you see those bikes doing drag strips. They got a parachute behind it because that's the best way to slow it down. And so I hit that car. There was a lot of damage, of course, to my face, my back, both my legs broke, and I had to be airlifted to UNC Hospital, Chapel Hill. There was no, I couldn't do the ambulance thing. I had to be airlifted. That's how bad it was. So yeah, that's what happened.
My God, but you're here.
Exactly. I'm still here.
You're
From
here.
Motorcycle accident to miracle.
Thank God. Thank God.
Yes.
That's incredible. That is incredible. That's nothing short of a miracle. Courtney Jacobs says some things are not supposed to be avoided. We have to go through it. But if he brought us to it, he will bring us through it.
Oh,
Courtney,
you are
here.
in my head right now. If he
Come on
brought
in
you
here.
to it, he will bring you through it.
And he has, as I'm just listening to you talk about your life, how you didn't decide to say, woe is me. And I'm sure you had your moments. I'm sure you may even have your moments.
Yes.
What I am impressed with is the fact that you continue to persevere and you haven't given up and you're still out here making moves. You're still making moves. And that is so incredible and inspiring. So thank you for sharing with us today. Anything else you want to tell our audience?
Yes, for any of my North Carolinians who are willing to support the book, if you want to get an autographed copy, feel free to meet me next weekend. Yes, September 4th from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. at Tanger Outlet Center here in Mebane, North Carolina at the Book Warehouse. That's right next to Jake's Wayback Burger. So yeah, come on out.
All right. So he's going to be at the Tanger Center in Mebane, North Carolina next week. Guys, come out, make your way. Now, before we let you go, Kawan, Andrew Roberts has a question for you. And he says, how was writing cathartic for you?
Writing, it's a release. It was almost like therapy to yourself. And what that does is, yeah, you can tell somebody, how you felt or how you're feeling in that moment. That's fine. But when you tell it to yourself and you're reading this thing over and over and over, and you finally put it out on paper, it's almost like release. And that's what you want. You want to release that thing. You want to let it go. And I have my pastor, he did a sermon a couple of years back before the pandemic, and I created a t-shirt off of it. And it was called Hurt, Heal, Let It Go. And then this t-shirt, I had the word hurt at the top with a Band-Aid over it, because of course, you're going to have a couple bandages and you got to take care of the wound. But I put heal next up underneath it with a stopwatch or a wristwatch, because it takes time to heal. And then I put let it go with 2 angel wings on each end of it, because you have to give it to somebody. You can't just hold on to it. Me personally, I gave it to God. So I had to let that thing go in order to let that burden be lifted off of me. And then for me, since what I believe in, I put the t-shirts only in red, because I did it through the blood of Jesus.
Wow.
So, it was symbolic all the way around. So that was what it did for me. I had to get away from me, let it go, write it, put it out there into the atmosphere. And it also gives other people the things that I have been witnessing from other people's reviews, emails, text messages, phone calls, and even face-to-face contact is just incredible. Because they love the story and the vulnerability that I put into it.
Kawan, you are in there. You are in that book deep, because the word of God says that we overcome him, right? Him is the enemy, right? We overcome him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony.
Exactly.
So you're testifying, Carrie Ann, you're testifying. And I hope that if you're watching this show, you understand that no matter what the situation is that you're going in through life, God is the master recycler, because everything he will use it for his glory. For his glory. Might not be your glory, but it's going to be his glory. And God is going to get the glory from your life, no matter what it is. So please be encouraged when you're coming on Freestyle Friday and you get to listen to our guests. They're not just people on here because they want their 15 minutes of fame or what have you. They are allowing themselves to be used of the Lord to share with each and every one of us about how they got over, how they are getting over. So Kawan, I thank you, and this has been incredible. This is so awesome. Kim, thank you for letting me host your show. I know you had reservations for a quick second, like what was I going to do, go crazy or not? But I hope I'm doing our justice up in here, y'all. I hope I am. let's take another quick break. Oh, wait. Miss Ella Spratley says, Sean A. Hall, you're doing an awesome job hosting the Kim Jacobs Show. Thank you, Miss Spratley. Wait.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
You are doing a great job.
Y'all make it so easy. I love this. Let us, if we can, let's see some of our comments coming in. Love your book, Carrie Ann Hilliard, and did a great job raising her by yourself, too. Love, Mom. Aww. Dennis Hilliard.
And she's tagging everybody.
All right, we see everybody. She said you let her to college and she's on the chancellor's list. So you both did great. Carrie Ann, you were holding out on us. That's amazing.
It's so much more to that story.
So much more. You've got to come back and share more. Athena Valentine says, great morning, beautiful experts. Good morning. Anybody else? I got my copy and it helps my students in the classroom. Thanks for writing it. And let's pause there. These books can definitely be utilized in the classroom because so many times, y'all, we don't get to hear. Can I say it? Can I go there? We don't get to hear from Black authors. You know, sometimes we hear from the famous ones, but it's not about being famous. It's about having an experience, and everybody's voice is necessary. So, yes, get excited for Freestyle Friday, and thank you for my friend making this opportunity possible. I'm so excited. Miss Spratley says, good morning, everyone. It's Freestyle Friday. I am in my virtual seat watching you all. Let's make it a great show. I hope we're doing that for you, Miss Ella. Thank you for your service, Kawan, says Miss Justine Hilliard. Anybody else? All right. Now, Kim put up Carrie Ann's information. Listen, y'all don't watch this show and not get these resources because you don't know if you're going to need them or not. And I'd rather you do like my grandma used to say, it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Yeah, amen.
It's powerful. Let's take another break and go to our last sponsor of the day. And let's let that be a surprise because the girl, I forgot. I'm sorry. I forgot.
When someone has lost a loved one, they want to know what exactly happened. They want to know, is the other person going to be held responsible? And they want closure. At Hunter and Everett, we help clients that have lost a loved one move on and to do that with dignity and respect that they deserve.
Thank you for that message from Hunter Everett, personal injury and disability attorneys at law. Listen, I would be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to say our dear friend and sister, Chantel Patterson, passed last week. She was hit by a drunk driver going 80 miles an hour. And so I want to encourage you all, if you would take the time to go back on Kim's page, there's a GoFundMe. Her 27-year-old daughter is helming up the task of laying her mother to rest and having to get all of the final expenses together. If you have $5, if you have $1, if you could go and give to this GoFundMe, help to relieve the burden of this family, it would be greatly appreciated. And this year at the Gabe's Heart 5K walk, which is popping off in September, we will be doing a balloon release as we do every year for Gabe. But this year, we're going to add Chantel to it because Chantel, for the past 6 years, has been an ardent supporter of the Gabe's Heart Foundation. In fact, the very last post she made to social media was about Gabe's Heart Foundation. Wow. That's how much she loved this organization, believed in what Kim was doing. And so we want to honor her. We want you all to come and walk in honor of Chantel. Can you do that? If you can, we want to see you. Please make sure that you go to the website, gabesheart.org. Register today. Hey, if you got extra coins, we'd love for you to sponsor so you can get on the back of that t-shirt, but also so that we can make sure that Gabe's Heart just keeps beating. Now, I'm coming to our last guest, right? And I hope you will help me welcome Mr. Phil, who is going to grace us with a musical interlude. Phil Walters, tell the people about yourself before you get started with our mini concert.
Good afternoon, Miss Hall. How are you today?
I'm blessed and highly favored and so grateful to be here with all of you.
Well, thank you. You're doing an awesome job. Awesome job. Just wanted to let you know. Before we get started, I wanted to agree with Kiwan. Our hearts and prayers go out to those who have put their life on the line and made the ultimate sacrifice over in the Middle East. And just let us just keep the family in our thoughts and in our prayers. I also want us to keep the families who may be displaced because of this moratorium being lifted. There's already a housing shortage. And what saddens me a little bit about the housing situation is the fact that a lot of funding is already in the areas, but they haven't been dispersed yet. So let's pray that on the local levels of each state, each city, that money will get to the people that need it so desperately. But thank you for having me on the show. I'm so happy to be back. My name is Phil Walters. I am a singer, songwriter, producer, and CEO of Soundcast Productions. It's a music production company. I have been doing this for the past years while not having any physical eyesight as well. I lost my vision in 2006 on Valentine's Day. I'd rather have chocolate, but it is what it is. So yes, I've been, for the last couple of years, I dropped a couple of albums. I have a few singles out. I have a cover song that was originally recorded by Sam Cooke and the Soul Stirrers. That song is called Jesus Gave Me Water, which is a song written by Lucy E. Campbell back in 1927, which I love their rendition of it. I produce music for podcasts, jingles, commercials. My niche is contemporary gospel, inspirational, and socially conscious music. And the song that you spoke about earlier is called Life. Actually, today is the release day of Life. And I'm so honored to be on the Kim Jacobs Show. And we're about to have a release party. And I'll explain a little bit about what that means. Normally, I would do this song live, but I had a sinus infection and the doctors got me on some meds. And there's a tickling in my throat. So whenever I push to hit those notes, I get that sensation to cough. So with the listening party, basically everybody gathers around and they get to hear the debut of the song. Now, I did have a private listening party the other day. There are a few who have heard it, but the world have not heard it yet. So it's going to be debuted, the listening party on the Kim Jacobs Show for my new single, Life. Yeah. Yes. So,
I love it. Mr. Walters, how did you get started in this industry?
Well, I've been actually producing and writing music since around 1998. I've been singing since the age of 9. And I'm originally from New York. I've done a lot of background work for different folks in the local area, tri-state area. But I always wanted to know what was going on behind the microphone. So I moved down to Baltimore, where I spent 9 years, and I went and studied at Sheffield Institute for the Recording Arts, which is in Phoenix, Maryland. And I got to study under some wonderful engineers. And even at that time, I was already blind in my right eye, but I had enough sight in my left eye that I could get the job done and use a magnifying glass where needed. But my desire was to find out what was going on the other side of that microphone. And I was able to get my chops there. I was also able to build a recording studio in Baltimore back in, I think I ended up in 2000. And so I was working with a lot of acts there while I was working on my own material as well. So that's kind of how it got started. And 2006, when I lost my eyesight, everything came to a grinding halt for a spell. So I do know what it's like, from the loss of vision standpoint, from what Kiwan was saying. It's a life changer. It doesn't have to be a life ender, though, but it's definitely a life changer. I had to do a pivot as well. And I had to regroup. I went through the stages of, depression for a while, had my pity party. And God said, listen, get on up because I ain't done with you yet. You know,
Yes.
and he wasn't impressed with my pity party, but he sure will show up for a praise party. Can I get a witness, somebody?
Yes. Say that part again.
He will show up for a praise party. Yes, them ears perk right up. You know, so so you know, fast forward, I had to learn how to do things different. I really did have to learn how to do things different. And I moved to Raleigh in 2010, where I met my lovely wife, and she's been such a wonderful help to me, you know, with getting my music back, because I couldn't use the same, you know, production software back then that I was taking for granted when I could see a little bit. So she found me a program that worked with the blind, and I was able to do all the music since 2015 because of, you know, her diligence to go out and find it. And I'm so happy for her, and I'm celebrating her as well because she just released her new book, Finding Our True Identity. So I'm excited, and I'm just cheering for her. And yeah.
Wow, this is incredible. And I heard Kawan talk about how your wife helped him. So you got to share the backstory on how the two of you met, because that seems like there's a story there.
God was all over it. He
Yes,
was
he is.
all over it, because at the time, neither one of us was really looking, you know. But I was in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, which is about 55 miles from Raleigh at the time. And I kid you not, after I came out of my cocoon and got back into the world and joined the church and started ministering through music there, I was sitting in the living room one day and you know, I decided I wanted to move to Raleigh because the transportation was more accessible for the blind here. And so there was a mutual friend that told me about a room that was available. And when she put me in touch with my wife, she wasn't my wife at the time. We're talking about arrangements and about this room and so forth and so on. So I get off the phone, and it's like the Holy Spirit was like, "That's your wife." I'm like, "I'm just looking for a room," you know. And he began to minister to me. That was your wife. I'm like, okay, you know. And he was like this awesome, omnipotent that he is, coach in my ear. God just began to minister to me on what it is that I need to do, what it is, you know, that I need to say in conversation with her, to let her know that I believe that you're the one. And God ministered to her the same thing. So we actually dated by phone before we even met. And, you know, up like kids all night to 4 a.m. She had to get up to go to work at 6:30, you know. But I tell you the truth, it was so miraculously beautiful because I've never had that happen to me before. And God is definitely a way maker, y'all. I will tell you that. So it ain't never over till God says it's over.
I love that. I love that. He said, God is a way maker. And it reminds me of a scripture that says that he who finds a wife finds what? A good thing.
And obtains
so you
favor.
found your good thing for sure.
Amen. And I
For
celebrate,
sure.
I thank God for her. And so now I get to be a cheerleader for her release, as well as, you know, what I'm releasing. So we got it going on here. Praise God.
Amen. We got all kinds of releases. Tell us the name of your wife's book again, and where can people find it?
Her book is called Finding Our True Identity, and you can find it on all the digital outlets. You know, on I think iBooks, Book Baby is the distributor, but the digital book outlets that are out there, you can find it on. And I told her, get ready, because I'm going to plug her. So hopefully she can come on this show and tell y'all more about it herself. Amen.
Most definitely. Most definitely. We would welcome her with open arms. This is such a wonderful, not just a wonderful story, but a wonderful love story. It's a testament to the human spirit and the resolve that people have to not only live, but live life on purpose and with purpose. I'm so excited for you all.
Amen. And I didn't mention this part, Ms. Hall, the fact that my wife did all of that with her book while physically blind as well. So,
what?
Wow. Wow.
Yes, come on, sir. We walk by faith.
Not by sight.
Not by sight, physically and emotionally and spiritually. That y'all are blessing me up in here. I feel like y'all need to hit Kim Jacobs, hit her cash app so we can distribute some funds today for all of this good word and ministry that is going forth, because this is ministry up in here. I'm so blessed by this. Now, Mr. Walters, we need to hear a little something. Can you tinkle a little something for us, please?
Well, before I get to play the soundtrack, I can give you a little something. And again, I apologize that my voice is not in that place to be able to do it. Live.
Yeah. See, that was just enough to get us excited. Now, your music, is that also available for purchase?
Yes, Life, which just was released today, is available on all digital media outlets as well as all of my music. You can find it on iTunes, Amazon. I always push the downloads first because downloads help pay the bills a little bit more than streaming. I know we're all streaming these days, but y'all pray for me. Hopefully I'll be in that place where I can get 10 million streams so I can pay my rent, pay my mortgage. But listen, you can also find it on Spotify and Apple Music for those who have streaming platforms who have those accounts. You can find it there as well. Deezer, Tidal, which is Jay-Z's streaming platform, iHeartRadio, just about all the streaming platforms out there. You can find the music on. It's also YouTube Music has their own streaming platform now, so you can find it on YouTube Music as well. I wanted to make it available everywhere, and not everybody is in a position where they can pay and download. If you are in that position, I pray God will bless you, not just so that you can download my project, so that you can take care of your needs. So if you go to YouTube and type in Phil Walters Life, it doesn't cost you a thing. You can stream the song. It's there because it is a socially conscious song, which is also ministry. I wanted to make it available for everybody. I know God will take care of my needs because he said so in his word.
Now, see, I love your heart where you made it available for people to know that you're on YouTube, right? Most people wouldn't do that. They say, look, I need a download. I need y'all to go ahead and give me my cash. And just because of that act of, I think, obedience, I believe that God is going to just open up the windows, the floodgates for you, for your music, for what you're doing and how you're impacting people. And I read something, it flashed on the screen really quick. So I want to go back because I believe you have a docuseries out. Is that correct?
A docuseries? I do.
Well, let's talk about it. Let's get into it.
No, I meant I do, and surprise. Somebody need to tell me about this docuseries.
Listen, so what it says here is you must watch this amazing TV docuseries featuring entrepreneur Phil Walters, Who I Am America. I am Phil Walters.
Oh my gosh. Shout out to Jerry Royce and Positive Power Network. You know what? That is so true. It's been a whirlwind this summer. If I may just say this quickly, this summer I had dubbed the summer of singles, of new releases. So our goal at Soundcast Productions was to release 3 to 4 singles within a 90-day to 4-month period. So it's been a whirlwind, but you're absolutely right. That information is correct. It is Who I Am America docuseries. That gentleman has been so gracious to make his network available to me, and he's doing an awesome work there at Positive Power Network. And yes. So thank you for bringing. Y'all pray for me now.
Listen, it's so wonderful when you got so much going on that you just forget. So tell us just a little bit about what people can experience with that docuseries and what the content is about.
Well, it was an interesting way of doing it. Usually, you see how we have this back and forwards communication. Well, yes. Who I Am is kind of like you got like 15 minutes or so, and you just gotta drop it. So there's nobody asking you anything. You're just kind of coming off and letting people know who I am, America. And I was so nervous. You probably can see a little bit of twitch going on with my left leg. But anyway, but it was so different because I like those little breaks when questions come so I can regroup. I didn't have a chance to regroup, so I really had to just let the Holy Spirit lead me to get it all out, but not wanting to rush too much, where I'm just fumbling all over the place. So, but it talks about where I was, where I'm from, which is originally from New York City. I like to tell people, I was born by the river, Harlem River in Harlem.
All right now.
So, and talks about, my journey, coming up as a young lad in New York and my time in New York and then moving to Baltimore and then eventually ending up in Raleigh, and talks a little bit about, just being a young African-American individual in the United States of America, up until, my current age, which I'm not going to tell you right now.
Listen, that's all right. We've been so blessed. I know I have been so blessed. Let me speak for myself. I've been
Me
blessed
too.
to learn a little bit about your life and who you are. And I think the prevailing theme of today's Freestyle Friday is really perseverance. No matter who you are, the circumstances that may surround your life, it's not permanent. And you're going to have to find a way. If you want to live out your purpose, you're going to have to find a way to pivot into purpose. If you don't, you'll remain stagnant. And when the water is stagnant, nothing is growing there. There's nothing living there. And so we all have been born for a purpose. And that purpose, if people don't know, is to give God glory, to bring God glory in whichever manner he has gifted you. And so listening to Carrie Ann and Phil and Kawan, I see you using your talents and stirring them up. And most of them, it appears, it was born from some level of adversity. So what that says to me is, y'all, we can't run from adversity because it can push you into your purpose, which we already said. I just told you 2 minutes ago, is to glorify God. So use the time wisely. Our guests have been so gracious with their time. I want to make sure that I circle back around and find out, are there any parting words that you want to share or any questions that a guest would like to ask another guest?
Can I ask a question?
Come on.
Yeah. Can we hear Phil Walter's song?
Phil?
Yes.
Would you oblige us by playing a little bit of your song?
Okay, this song is called Life, and it's a socially conscious song, and I'll let the words speak for themselves. Amen?
Okay.
Here we go. There's something on my mind. It's been there for quite some time. I'd like to share it with you. If you allow me to, beautiful black man. Did you not hear the cry? Black lives matter too. This also applies to you. It brings tears to my eyes to hear of all the homicides. Many won't talk about it, but from the rooftops I gotta shout. Let the record show. May not sell many records, no. I gotta do what's right, so I can sleep at night. Yeah. Life is a gift that can't be replaced. No, even if we try, way too many tears. Mothers have cried for us, but we can make it better. Now this is not a diss, or even a means to dismiss the overwhelming murder rate by some who use a shield to hide hate. No life should have to end because of the skin they're in. be shredded and torn because they wear a uniform. It's way past time to leave all this mess behind. When it comes to respect, we should all be colorblind. Some believe it's just another fantasy until it manifests. I'm gonna hold on tight to my dreams. Life is a gift. Oh, yes, it is. You can't really get back. No, 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 no. And if we try way too many tears, mothers have cried, mothers have cried, but we can make it better.
Wow. I am just stunned by the words of that song, in particular the hook where it says life is a gift. All of our guests have shown that their lives are a gift to each and every one of us. When I was coming up, people used to say, you think you must be God's gift to the world. And, you know, when you were a kid, that was a diss somehow or another. But growing, I realized it's true. Each of us are God's gift to the world. Allow yourselves to be unwrapped so that people can experience all that God has placed inside of you. Phil Walters, Kawan Amy, Harry Ann Hilliard, thank you for joining us on this show today. Special shout out to Andrew C. Roberts, who is in the back running the boards for us. Listen, go back to this show. Make sure you get all of their products. And if you have the opportunity to go to Gabe's Heart and give and join and run with us, walk with us this year, do that. And if you have the means to give to the GoFundMe for Chantel, we would love for you to do that. I'm Sean Hall, in today for Kim Jacobs. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you back here Monday.
Great job. Awesome.
Thank you.
God bless y'all.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kim Jacobs, host of The Kim Jacobs Show, where we're bringing balance to the world one household at a time. Listen, we go live every weekday, Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I bring guests on that talk about their backstories, things that they've had to overcome to become who they are today. Many of them are balancing and juggling life, and they've become experts in different fields. So they're sharing tips with you to make your life just a little bit easier. Many times as a guest in the studio audience, you'll get a chance to walk away with a missing piece of the puzzle that might be missing in your life. Let's go on this journey together, and I look forward to seeing